All right, Coach, I feel like a tale of two halves would be a great way to describe y'all's road win. What changed during halftime?
Yeah, I think just kind of loosening up a little bit. You know, we had a long day of travel before, not to make an excuse, but a couple delays, you know, one of those things that comes with playing on the road. And then we just, I don't know, we talked about defense and energy travels. You never know if you're going to hit shots or not. And the first half, man, I thought defensively it felt like we weren't playing real well, but we were. I mean, I look up with 10 minutes to go, they only have 15 points. The problem is, you know, we only had like 2. So we had to find ways to score, and that's a credit to Bakersfield, man. And so at the halftime, we talked to our guys, and we just said, listen, like, let's just throw everything in the trash. You know, we had a game plan. Sometimes it doesn't work. Let's get the ball out of the net and let's go. Because they're doing a great job. We were having a hard time scoring in the half court. It's what we usually do to people. But so what do we do in practice? We just start moving the ball and we attack. And so we kind of just cut them loose in the second half. And I think that was a huge deal where they started playing with some confidence. Once we hit a couple shots, then, you know, our defense picked up a little bit. We were able to turn them over. The stats were not right. We turned them over 18 times, by the way. And it said we only turned them over, I don't know, 12 or 13. But we're working on getting that fixed because that's something that's important to us. But you know, we took care of the ball in the second half and we turned them over. And I think that allowed us to go out there and get some points, you know. And then once you start believing, man, it starts rolling. You could kind of feel it. It was a 9-point game, and I looked at one of my assistants and I said, listen, I think we can win this, man. Like I felt like we were going in the right direction, and I was just glad the guys were able to pull it out.
You mentioned getting some confidence for your players. How much of a confidence booster is this win?
No, it's huge. I think, number one, going into conference play, to know that you were down like that and able to come back. And the way we came back was like, we didn't just do it all at once. And that was a big thing we talked about at halftime is like, listen, we got to chip away, just chip away, you know, win 4-minute games. And we won the first 4-minute game in the second half by 2 points. And in that timeout, I told him, I said, man, we did our job. That's all we can do. Instead of being down 18, now we're down 16, but it's better than 18. You know, now we got to win the next 4. And I think we won the next 4 minutes by 4 points or something. So we cut off 6 points, and we kept talking about we're right where we want to be. And then about the 8-minute mark, I said, okay, man. You know, it was like I think that's when it was like a 9 or 8 or 9 point game. I said, okay, this is when we got to go if we're gonna have a chance. And then all of a sudden, I think Tobias and Manny would hit back-to-back threes, and then Joe hit one, and it was just kind of boom. Next thing you know, it's a 1-point game, and now we're starting to believe. You know.
You guys are doing really well, especially beyond the arc, shooting this season. What has that 3-point shot meant to your team?
Well, it's been huge for us so far this year. I think because we struggled early in the year to turn over people at the rate that we're used to. We're still turning them over at a high rate, but not at the rate we've been. We've needed those extra points, and I think the guys are just playing with confidence, and you know. It's no secret. We've always struggled to shoot, you know, so it's kind of a nice. I still feel like we can't shoot. And Ted's like, man, we're top 30 in the country or something like that. And I feel like we can't shoot. But I think just having those guys, I think it's our forwards can step out and shoot the ball a little bit, which helps. We're able to stretch the floor with some, like the other day, you know, we were struggling scoring at the rim. They just had towers in there. They were huge. I think they're starting shooting guards, like 6'7". And so we started ball screening, which we don't do a ton of, and just pulling those guys away from the rim, and they struggled guarding us out on the perimeter. And so I think having guys that can step out and stretch the defense a little bit has been huge for us this year. And you know, we played without Cam Steele the other day, which is one of our best perimeter shooters. And so, but I think we've got to continue to do that. But there's going to be nights where the shots don't fall, and we're going to have to find a way to really get consistent defensively. You know, if we want to have make a dent in conference play.
You mentioned Cam not being out on the court. How are you guys looking health-wise heading into this week?
We're pretty healthy. You know, Cam is a deal. He could have played, and he could play Wednesday. I don't know if I'm going to play him. Just when we in the Commerce game, when he dove on the floor and hit the scorer's table, one of the guys' knees hit him. He has a big, deep bruise right on his hip, and so it's not. He can play, but it's going to slow the healing process. So it's really important to me that he plays against Steve F. Austin and Tarleton in a couple weeks. And so we just made the decision really the night before to not play Cameron. He went through warm-ups, and so he's still moving and stuff. He's still practicing, but he has to step off the floor a lot right now while it's healing. And so, but other than him, I think, Joe's starting to kind of feel better and starting to look like his old self. Some of the nagging injuries we've had, Emmanuel, rolled his ankle the other day, but it was not as serious as it seemed initially. And so I think that we'll be able to get him healthy. And so I'm pleased with where we're at. I think hopefully we're starting to play well at the right time, but we'll find out.
Looking ahead to this week, Howard Payne, they are a very, very small team, I should say.
Yeah.
I think they only have one guy who's taller than me, which is I don't get to say very often. But looking at that matchup, what do you see?
Well, number one, we play them every year. They've always been really good to us to bring their team over here. They move dates for us all the time, which is why I always play them, because they allow me to kind of make changes late on them. But they're going to throw some things at us probably that we haven't seen. I mean, they're going to switch a lot, and they're going to probably throw. They haven't really played a lot of zone this year, but I'm sure they usually throw a little zone at us, which is not a bad thing for us. We watched what happened with Texas State, last week with Mary Hardin Baylor, going in there and beating them. And we're going to talk about that a lot today. You just never know. I mean, you've got to show up. You've got to respect your opponent. But I think my hope is that we get to play some guys, that we get to do what we've been able to do in a couple other games this year, and getting like Hunter Jack Madden some reps at the point against Arlington Baptist a week and a half ago was huge, because I needed him to bring the ball to the floor late on Saturday, and I think that him getting those reps earlier, and that's kind of what you hope you can get out of this. But man, but not if we don't go out there and do what we're supposed to do. And so we're gonna respect our opponent. We're gonna lock in on film today with the guys, and we're gonna prepare for them like we prepare for anybody else, and see where it goes.
So you're heading into the last game of non-conference, and then conferences, almost next week basically.
Yeah.
So how would you kind of assess the team at this point, getting ready to head into conference play? Like, where do you think you guys are excelling at? Where do you guys think you need to improve in order to be successful in conference?
We've got to keep getting better defensively. I think we've showed signs of that. That's why I want to make sure we get credit for those turnovers we didn't get the other day. But, I think we got to keep growing there. I'm really pleased where we're at offensively. I know we struggled the other day, but we've been pretty good offensively all year. But I think this team, I'm really proud of them. And so I said that on air the other day in post-game, is that, like, these guys, a lot of teams would have shut down. You go to Vegas. We had a really good win to open the season, and then we go on the road and we play well against Texas A&M. We just came up on the short end, but I was pleased with how we played. We go to Vegas and then we lose 3 in a row. And but really we played okay in 2 out of those 3. But I think a lot of teams would have just shut down. But on that trip before we even came home, we went on and won a game handedly. On the road against a really good Northern Arizona team that 2 other teams in our league struggled, and had to win in overtime to beat. And then we've only lost 1 game since, and that was at Kansas State, which I think might have been one of the best games we played all year. And so these guys didn't shut down. They found a way. They turned it around. I think we've won 5 out of 6 or 6 out of something like that. And so they've gotten better every game. And then, we hit a wall in a tough road game. You got to fly halfway across the country and deal with commercial air right now and all that stuff. And they didn't quit at halftime. They found a way to win the game. And so, I love the grit, the toughness, the fight of this team. It might be one of the best that we've ever had, which is saying a lot. And I think they proved that this weekend. And so I'm really pleased with how we've improved as the year moves on. And we've spoiled ourselves and a lot of our fans the last few years, because we've had so many returners and we've been so good early. This is more normal, where you have a lot of new faces and you have to go through some growing pains. And you just hope that when you do, you go through some adversity, fight through it. And that's when you usually know if you're going to be good or not, is if you can fight through that early adversity. We hit some early adversity and we fought through it, and now we're hopefully playing well, leading into conference play. So I'm happy with where we're at. Do we need improvement? Absolutely. We have a long ways to go, but I'm excited to see where we stand, coming up next week.
I'm all good.
What are the Christmas plans, Coach?
Abilene, here I am, man. I've got a college kid, I've got a senior in high school, so the last couple of years we stick around. We don't go see anybody really, but with their schedules and stuff like that. The good thing is Colby's now on my schedule. That makes things a little bit easier. But we're gonna hang out, man. Probably watch a lot of film on SFA in Tarleton, but the guys get to go home for a couple days. I know a lot of guys across the country don't get to do that. We believe strongly in that. I don't care if it's 2 days, 3 days. We want them to go spend some time with their family and relax and decompress a little bit after a long, hard, non-conference. And so, but I am going to enjoy my family. It's going to be fun to spend some time with Colby off the floor, spend some time with my younger son, Carson, my wife. We're just going to hang out together, man, and enjoy the time.
So as a Christmas gift, does Colby get the green light Wednesday night?
He obviously, if you've been watching, he thinks he has it anyway. The last game we played, I think he was 0 for 5 from the 3, man. I told him the other day, Coach Golding pulled Kaysen into this press conference at El Paso. I'm going to bring you in. Talk about your shooting percentage. But he thinks he's got the green light no matter what. So I don't know. His Christmas gift to me might be passing the ball a few more times. But yeah, but we're excited, man, just to spend some time, decompress. And I hope our players can do the same.